On today's episode of Lockdown Broncos, Sayre and I, we discuss why Broncos fans shouldn't feel guilty about being excited about the Denver Broncos 2-0 start. Plus, we talk with Tim Jenkins to talk about Teddy Bridgewater's Week 2 performance. We look at the offensive line and how the running backs did. All in today's brand new episode, Locked on Broncos.
You are Locked on Broncos, your daily Denver Broncos podcast. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, Broncos country? Welcome back into a brand new episode of Lockdown Broncos, your daily Denver Broncos podcast here on the Lockdown NFL Network, your team every day. From the South Stands to the end zone, I'm your host, as always, Cody Roark, joined alongside by co-host Sayre Bedinger. Both of us, we covered the Denver Broncos for the Lockdown NFL Network and 9 News. You can follow us on Twitter, on our social media handles. Make sure you follow, subscribe to the podcast. Free and available everywhere on your favorite audio podcasting platform, Lockdown Broncos. Not to mention here on YouTube, if you want daily Broncos news, content, coverage, hit that subscribe button. But Sayre, my friend, great to see you as always. And look, we got a lot to talk about today. There's something I want to vent about. And then we also need to talk about maybe some potential linebackers that are on the free agency market that you wrote an article about, predominantly Orange, that the Broncos could target or maybe should take a look into.
Definitely. Yeah, it's great to see you. Great to talk to you as well. Cody, man, I can't wait for that rant. I'm excited for that. So that's going to be good stuff. But man, yeah, definitely plenty to talk about. It's Tuesday's the Denver Broncos day off. So figure there should be some roster movement, some changes made potentially with Josie Jewell going on injured reserve. So, and that hasn't officially happened yet, of course, as we're recording, but definitely excited to talk about the possibilities.
Possibilities that, there's a multitude of things, whether it be practice squad, whether it be free agency, whether it be poaching another team's practice squad, some things that you allude to in your latest article. But I wanted to start off today's episode of the show. I wanted to vent about something just because I hate the narratives that we continue to see on social media. Look, yes, the Denver Broncos, they beat the New York Giants. They beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, probably two of the NFL's bottom teams. You know what, though? There's a lot of people in the local media here in Denver and even in the national media that are telling Broncos fans that they shouldn't be excited just yet. Here's the deal. The Broncos are 2-0. They haven't been 2-0 to start the season in quite some time. Isn't that what sports is about, Sayre, is the fact that if you're a fan of a team and if they're winning, you have every right to be excited. But instead, we have people in media, local media alike, telling fans that, wait till they play the Baltimore Ravens. That's going to be a good test for the Broncos. Don't get me wrong, okay? I believe that too. I believe that'll probably be the biggest test to date for Denver, but that's a couple weeks away. But I also want to pinpoint that if the Broncos, Sayre, if they lost to the Giants, if they lost to the Jaguars, the narratives would be completely flipped 360 for this football team. And everybody's saying, well, the Broncos, they're terrible. They can't even beat these bad teams. So when they actually take care of business and they beat these so-on lesser teams, the narrative seems to be like, well, you know what? They beat these lower teams. Don't be excited. Broncos fans, guess what? A team that is 2-0, that has had a hard time winning in the last 6 years, you should be excited, and you have every right to be excited. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't be.
Amen. Amen to that, Cody. I love it. That's such good stuff, and it's so true. And the reality is, even if the Broncos do win against the Jets to improve to 3-0, and then they go and beat the Baltimore Ravens, there's going to be people finding ways to complain about how they did that. It's just how it is. Well, they beat the Ravens and the Jets and all these other teams, but can they beat the Chiefs? That's going to be the real test. I mean, you can just call these things from a million miles away, can't you? It's just There's always going to be negativity when there's good things happening, but you're absolutely right. Everyone has the right to be excited right now about the way the Denver Broncos have played, just because, especially too, and this kind of builds off that rant a little bit, Cody. A lot of people are talking about, well, the Broncos should be 2-0, yada yada, this and that, and yeah, I get that, but man, they're doing it in such a way that we didn't expect, right? I mean, Teddy Bridgewater setting a franchise record for completion percentage in that week 1 matchup, and now leading the NFL in QBR, second in the league in air yards per pass attempt. So much positive to take from the way that this team has been playing, and not just the fact that they're winning, but the way that they're doing it really in a balanced way. Of course, not special teams balance, but offense and defense. So it's been exciting, and there's plenty to be excited about the future as well. And the future is next week. It's the next few games. It's not just, well, next year they'll be good, or these players will be good if they get a couple more years on the job. No, this is a good team right now with a bright future, as in 2021. So I think you're absolutely right on with that, Cody. There's definitely reason to be excited, and Broncos fans should be.
Well, I might contradict myself here because I told Broncos fans that nobody, especially people in the media, shouldn't tell you how you should feel. I'm going to tell you why you should be excited, though. I mean, look at Cortland Sutton, his big day that he had against Jacksonville last week. The way Teddy Bridgewater's playing right now should have you excited. Looking at a young talent like Javonte Williams, the stuff that he's been able to do, some flashes that we've seen, that should excite you. The defense, Pat Shurmur, Justin Simmons, Kareem Jackson, Von Miller, this is a team, and they have players that you should absolutely be excited for. So don't let anybody steal your joy, Broncos country. But Sayre, I'm going to transition to another talking point. Recently, in Predominantly Orange, you put out a piece about 5 potential linebackers the Broncos could target or might need to take a look at considering Josie Jewell's season-ending injury. Kind of highlight a couple of those key picks, some of those key names that you dropped in there.
Definitely, Cody. I think that, anytime an injury happens, things like that, you want to look around the league or at the free agent market to see what's available, depending on where your team is at, right? I mean, the Broncos have a number of young inside linebackers. They have plenty of those. They've got, like we talked about on this show, plenty, Justin Cernat. They've got Baron Browning. They've got 2 guys on the practice squad, Curtis Robinson and Barrington Wade. What they don't have a lot of right now is experience, especially with Josie Jewell going down with the injury. Obviously, Alexander Johnson has plenty enough experience to be confident in him. But at the same time, you're a playoff potential team. You're a team that's fighting for one of those 7 spots in the AFC, and the inside linebacker position is of critical importance. And so if anything were to happen to Justin Cernat, we heard Vic Fangio talk recently about Baron Browning is still behind. He's still not quite there yet. So I think they do need to go after a veteran. I've got a couple of names that I think are really interesting, Cody, starting with Benardrick McKinney, a 2018 Pro Bowl player who was traded from the Houston Texans, kind of in their fire sale this offseason, so to speak, to the Miami Dolphins, and then kind of surprisingly released by the Dolphins. I don't know if that was a financially motivated move. I don't know if it was like a scheme fit move or what it was, but Benardrick McKinney, an interesting player still available. Also, another veteran, Avery Williamson. Fans know him. I mean, he was a player that many Broncos fans wanted when he was a free agent and signed with the New York Jets. So a guy that's got plenty of production, played for the Steelers last year and got traded to them. So definitely some interesting names, but one that I'll go to bat for, Cody, is Reuben Foster, former first-round pick, a guy that a lot of Broncos fans wanted in that 2017 NFL draft, a potential top 10 talent at his position, and definitely fell due to some valid off-field concerns, I think. And so when he fell in the draft, he's only played 16 games in the NFL so far, but definitely some untapped potential there. And I think injuries have obviously played a role in that, but you get a guy that's young like that. I think he's 27, 26 years old, and with his potential, a first player who hasn't lived up, to the hype, but still somebody that's capable of coming in and playing a starting role, I think, on short order. That's the kind of guy that I'm interested in because it gives you some options beyond just this season.
I think those are some great suggestions there. Obviously, we don't know what the Broncos are going to do just yet, but it would be very intriguing if they do take a look at Reuben Foster, for example. Obviously, some of the off-field concerns that you mentioned. The NFL, I know if the Broncos were really interested, they would probably, they might already be doing some background to see whether or not those are still a concern. You can't judge a person by what they did so long. For example, if he went through the whole process, if he, like I mentioned, he got hurt. I believe he got suspended, if I'm not mistaken, at one point in his time in the NFL. So a lot depends on, is it the right fit? And if it's not the right fit, then obviously the Broncos won't do it. Same thing with all these other players. It's got to be the right fit. And to be honest with you, Sayre, I think I'm a little bit excited to see the waiting game. What do the Broncos do? Do they elevate practice squad? Do they look to somebody else's practice squad? Or do they look at maybe a free agent guy that's on the street right now? The Broncos, they've done a little bit of everything in the last couple of years. So obviously great work there, Sayre, predominantlyorange.com. Great article if you want to check it out, Broncos country. But ladies and gentlemen, coming up here in just a moment, we're going to hear from our good friend Tim Jenkins on Tim Jenkins Tuesdays. We're talking Teddy Bridgewater. We're talking Broncos offense, running back, the run game, and also the offensive line. We talk about that with him coming up here in just a moment. But before we do that, let me tell you about the sponsors of today's episode of the show. It's our good friends over there, betonline.ag and Get Upside. Football season is back and better than ever, and all eyes are on the gridiron as teams are back on the field for the start of this football season. And as always, BetOnline is your number one go-to spot for all the pro and college football action. With a new updated site and interface, you get even more odds, props, and contest information. BetOnline.ag continues to be the number one source for everything football, so you can head to the website right now or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive receive your 100% welcome bonus when you use promo code Locked On. From football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. And Broncos fans, there is an incredible app out there today that allows you to make money back when you buy gas, and that is Get Upside. Listeners of Locked On Broncos can make up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas that they purchase every time that you fill up. All you have to do is just download the Get Upside app today and use promo code Touchdown, and you can get a bonus 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's up to 50 cents cash back. You don't have to pay full price at the pump anymore. And ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what, as somebody who drives a lot for work, I'm always on the go. Get Upside has helped me save a little bit more money when I purchase by putting money back into my bank account. You don't have to pay full price at the gas pump anymore with the Get Upside app. Once again, promo code Touchdown will help you get up to 50 cents per gallon cash back. And if you drive as much as I do, you can make up to $200 or $300 in cash back per month, depending on how often you drive and how much you drive when you fill up and you use the Get Upside app today. And ladies and gentlemen, you can cash out anytime you want on your bank account, PayPal, or even Amazon and e-gift cards. The choice is yours. All you have to do is just download the free Get Upside app. And once again, that's promo code Touchdown, and you get up to 50 cents per gallon cash back on purchases today on your first tank. Once again, promo code Touchdown. We are elite with Tim Jenkins here as he joins us every Tuesday to talk about the Denver Broncos offensive performance led by the quarterback position, offensive coordinator, O-line, running backs. We're going to break it all down here today. Tim Jenkins joins the show. Tim, my man, great to see you here once again. I know Broncos country is excited to hear you. Not to mention they like your latest review that you dropped on YouTube on all things QB. If you want to go through and look at what Teddy Bridgewater was able to do, Tim, he breaks it down. But thank you for joining us.
No, I'm pumped up, man. Thanks for having me.
So, Sayre, let's start things off here on the offensive side of the ball here for Tim. First off, let's talk about Teddy Bridgewater. Week 2, we had a conversation last week following week 1. What would we like to see from Teddy Bridgewater? Well, we'd like to see him improve on a couple of things he missed on, but we'd like to see him stack a performance. In your opinion, did he do just that?
I mean, I think the quick answer is yes. Now it's nuanced, right? Because there was some bad, and I talked about it in the video, but the bad is situational, right? And it's not what you would expect. You would expect the situational Teddy Bridgewater to be, it was 3rd and 8, and there was something he maybe could have fit in, but he checked it down. That's what you would have thought of going into this year. Well, it turns out that Teddy Bridgewater's issue situationally is on 3rd and short. He likes to drive the deep shot, right? Which is so funny because that was not something that I think anyone saw coming. So there were some situational things that I would love for him to clean up. Or, they ran the spear concept, which is where the slot receiver kind of has this little, it's not an over, but it's not a shoulder 8. It's in between the over and the post is kind of how I would describe it. And then the outside guy has an in. Well, they had KJ Hamler on the go, and he tries to throw the cover 2 hole shot to KJ Hamler, which anyone who's tried to throw a cover 2 hole shot knows, you don't put your short, fast guy out to throw hole shots, right? So to me, to me, it's an MA, right? A mental error, whatever you guys want to call it. So those were the 2 bads that really stuck out to me. Other than that, man, I thought he played a heck of a day, and there were so many plays within the game that, with a nuanced lens, were super, super impressive. So I think he stacked the performance between the Giants and the Jags, and I think, if you're a Broncos fan, you've got to be super pumped up about what the offense has shown you.
Absolutely. It's crazy. I mean, a lot of fans are talking about the fact, well, they should be 2-0. They played the Giants and the Jaguars, right? But at the same time, I mean, I don't think anybody necessarily expected what we've seen from Teddy Bridgewater. And at the same time, each of the first 2 games of the season, Broncos have gone into halftime with just 10 points offensively. I mean, considering how well Teddy has played over the course of these 2 games in full, what does he got to do differently going forward to potentially get the Broncos offense on the board a little bit sooner than right before halftime?
Well, yeah. So if you think about it, right, the 2 third downs that he's passed the shallow and taken the shot, they haven't converted on, and they've been good drives. So then you start to think, okay, well, let's say he takes a shallow and then they go and convert. Well, do you walk into halftime with 17? Right. And then now, oh, wow, we're talking about 30-point games from the offense. And I think people are excited. I do think fans by and large are saying, well, hey, we were supposed to be 2-0 after these games. Well, Washington barely beat the Giants, and the Giants looked way better on film in week 2 than week 1, which leads me to believe that the Broncos were dictating terms. And if the Giants end up being like a 500 ball club, the Jags aren't going to be, right? Because they're just pretty bad. But I do think the Giants win is better than I think a lot of people are giving it credit for. So it'll be interesting to see. The Jets obviously got embarrassed last week by New England. With that being said, man, you're going to look at Zach Wilson's stat line. You're saying, okay, 4 picks. It's not that simple because there's one. To me, Zach reminds me a lot of where I saw Drew week 8, 9, 10 before he kind of went on his run last year of maybe his eyes aren't in the right spot. There's some stuff that I think, man, that's one meeting away from getting fixed, and all of a sudden they're a little bit better. But again, if the Broncos win again this week, then it'll be, well, it was just, the Jets. So I think you want to be cautiously optimistic, but with what they're putting on tape, to me, it's like they can't control who they play, but these plays and progressions are going to match up against anybody.
I'm kind of going back to what we piggybacked off of last week a little bit. What were your notes and thoughts on Pat Shurmur? There were times where the Jaguars, I feel like, they didn't play as aggressive as New York, right? So I feel like, is that a big reason why we didn't see any screenplays in this particular game? I was kind of surprised we didn't see it. At least like maybe not even a tight end screen. But Noah Fant wasn't as much involved in the offensive side in terms of the passing game outside of the touchdown that he had scored this week.
I mean, I think, to me, I really like Shurmur's game plan again. And there was the next innovation in a lot of these concepts where we saw jalapeno, which is double post with the deep over instead of samurai, which is the single post with the deep over. We saw one screen called, but it wasn't thrown. It was the play. They try to set up like a little bootleg tailback. They throw back the screen. You can see all the O-line release. The back's ready. 98 on the Jags gets upfield. Teddy looks at it, doesn't like it. Boom. Then he gets to the tight end, which to me is – this is what I was talking about, the nuanced lens, because the fact that you put your eyes back for screen, it wasn't there, and then knew I had my alert bail front side and got to the tight end. Because you guys know, and every single person watching this podcast knows, what do you see quarterbacks do when screen's not there? They throw it at the feet, right? Well, not Teddy. Apparently, he's going to get to his, bail alert to the front side and make up another positive play. So to me, those are things where it's like, dude, the fact that we went from having a negative screenplay that usually results in 2nd and 10 to now 2nd and 6 is like so crucial to your offense staying on schedule. So those are the things that I thought. But as a whole, I thought Shurmur's game plan was really good. They showed a new concept that I hadn't seen before in the NFL period, which is running that read route, which is, hey, go ahead and get vertical until you can't and sit down at 15, and then pairing it with an option runner underneath. I haven't seen that yet out of anybody. So that's a new concept. And they converted a 3rd and 8 on it, right? He ends up throwing to the read route to Cortland Sutton on the play. And to me, there's a lot of evolutions in this offense. Now, can we keep taking steps and keep, kind of varying it? That's going to be the question. But I do think, by and large, for me, I love what they were doing.
Well, coming up here in just a moment, Sayre and myself, we're going to ask Tim some more questions as he takes time to join us. Obviously talking about the Broncos offense. We're going to look in the offensive line a little bit and also the running back position, the run game, and how it could benefit Teddy Bridgewater in the Broncos pass game. But before we do that, Broncos country, let me tell you about the 2 other sponsors. Today's episode of the show, it's our good friends over there at DirecTV and Built Bar. And does this sound familiar, ladies and gentlemen? With DirecTV Stream, do you have all these devices that have different logins just so you can watch your favorite TV shows, movies, and even sports? You don't have to worry about that anymore with DirecTV Stream. I want to tell you about a simple way you can get all the entertainment that you love without the hassle, and that is through DirecTV Stream. And with DirecTV Stream, it brings you your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and all shows in one place. That means no more juggling the remotes, trying to find them, or no need to buy another device ever again. DirecTV Stream has you covered, and the best part, there is no annual contract, so get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at DirecTV.com. Once again, that's DirecTV.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package, and our good friends over there at Built Bar, and there is a special offer this week, a special flavor that is cookie dough chunk. They sent it to me. I tell you what, I like that. It's starting to become one of my new favorites alongside peanut butter brownie brownie, and all the other amazing, delicious flavors that Built Bar has to offer. Built Bars are covered in 100% chocolate. They are soft, they're easy to chew, and they taste legitimately like a candy bar, and you can try all the amazing flavors in a mixed box, or if you like one specific flavor, you can get a box of 18 at Built.com. And ladies and gentlemen, not to mention, Built Bar is the healthiest protein bar out there on the market. 17 grams of protein to help you repair some of the fibers when you lift as much, or you do bicep curls like me, or you do cardio. It's nice to have that little bit of a dessert with a healthy twist to it. Only 130 calories and only 4 grams of sugar. And I want you to get your hands on a box of Built Bar today by going to Built.com. And when you go to checkout, use promo code LOCKED15. That's going to get you 15% off your next order. Once again, promo code LOCKED15 is going to get you 15% off your next order at Built.com. All right, Sayre, I'm going to open up to you, my friend. We're going to ask Tim a little bit now on the offensive line, the running back side of things. And look, Vic Fangio gave us some nice sound bites on Monday. But, Sayre, I'm going to let you take it away here to start off the fourth quarter action of today's episode, Locked On Broncos.
Definitely. Yeah. Tim, talk us through just offensive line wise. We saw quite a bit of pressure on Teddy Bridgewater in this game. I think more than any of us would have really liked to see. He took, I think, 3 sacks in this game. So, talk to us about offensive line play and Teddy obviously communicating. Is he seeing everything that he's supposed to before the snap the right way? Was it just pure offensive linemen getting beat? What are we looking at here from this game in terms of pass protection?
That's a great question. I think Teddy's seeing everything. The way they kind of move their backs up and do certain stuff, they're doing a really good job seeing it. The first sack is they're just trying to hit Albert O on a little throwback, right? So it's like, is it a bad protection breakdown, or is it just one of those things that, hey, a guy ran the edge, we didn't expect him to run the edge, and we go to pull back and throw back? To me, that's kind of a tough one. Listen, that shallow special that he hit to Courtland Sutton, I'm pretty sure he held the ball for 5.5 seconds. So in terms of offensive line play, that's a really good sign. I do think, this isn't meant as a criticism, but I do think Teddy holds the ball. I don't think Teddy is, I'm going to get the ball out of my hand lightning quick all the time. Right, I think there are situations where he throws hot and he does it, but I do think Teddy, is willing to hold the ball in hopes of opening something up. Now that's going to lead to some sacks or some situations where he's got pressure on him. He did a great job with his backside spin, getting out of the pocket to his left side. Right, we call it the back door where they spin outside. But he did a great job leaving out the back door a couple times, creating scramble drill. To me, I don't think the offensive line played poorly. And I actually think the Williams kid, the running back, did a great job in some blitz pickups. I thought he was outstanding. So to me, I think from an offensive line perspective, there's always things that you want to see get done better. But I do think they did a good job of giving Teddy time.
Well, and it kind of goes back to the running back position. Now, obviously, Javonte Williams looks great in pass protection. And there was one throw early on in that game to Noah Fant where all of a sudden Javonte clears out and he gets to the next level. He gets to, I think, a corner or a safety because he sees that the ball is thrown to Noah. It's hard to coach that up. Now, I would say one concern that Broncos fans have, maybe outside of their third down efficiency, as you mentioned, sometimes on third and short, they're taking some deep shots, which is kind of uncharacteristic of what we've seen from Teddy and the Broncos in general. But I think in terms of the run game, right, and how much pressure can maybe take off of Teddy Bridgewater. Vic Fangio said it on Monday. He said that the Giants and the Jaguars teams went to the extreme to stop the Broncos' run game and really to force Teddy to pass. And now it's out there that Teddy can pass. Teddy can do it consistently. How does this open up the run game potentially for the Broncos going forward?
I think it opens it up a lot, right? If you all of a sudden have to spin back and play open coverages, 2 safety coverages, you're in trouble in the run game then. You don't have a guy for every gap, right? And I think, the Jags weren't in single high a crazy amount. They played a lot of quarters, I thought, and I thought they played a lot of cover 6. Which is that cover 2, cover 4 hybrid. I guess they were in single high because now they think about the cover 1 hole and all that stuff. But I do think they played a fair amount of open coverage, and the Broncos just still could attack it, right? They threw the double post, and he threw the outside post against quarters, I think, once or twice in that game. So I just think the bottom line is, listen, I know everybody wants to run the ball well. Except for maybe me. I'm not a huge run game guy. But I do think everybody wants to run the ball well. When you have a quarterback who's playing efficiently, though, it just really doesn't matter, right? Because, there was an article a while ago in The Athletic talking about, hey, the play-action pass is now the NBA's three-pointer, right? To where it's you don't even have to run the ball well to run play-action, but you need to do play-action. So to me, it's like, yeah, I'd love to see the Broncos run the ball better, but if Teddy keeps being as efficient as he is, I'd almost rather see the ball in his hand on 1st and 10 than handing it off. I do think we need to sprinkle in draw and screen, because I think draw and screen is that run game that's not always counted as true run game. But if you're effective with it, it opens up even more stuff. So to me, it's like, I do think the draw and screen game can kind of be this year's version of inside zone and gap and GT that we saw last year. But to me, it's like, man, if we don't have to take the ball out of our quarterback's hand, why do it?
Right. That's something we talked about last week with you, Tim. And I think the more I watch the game, the number of times that I've watched it back, the more I'm like, man, I really like that idea. Let's go be a first down passing team. I'm with that. So I want to know, Tim, too. I know you watched a lot of Teddy Bridgewater over the offseason, a number of things from Carolina, New Orleans, other places that he's been. This is just kind of the hot take in my head here, but do you think this is the best that you've seen from Teddy Bridgewater and all the different stuff that you've evaluated from him?
It's a great question. I think this is as good as he was in New Orleans. And to me, I think that's the best of his career. So then therefore it would be, right? I think there's nothing substantially different between what he's doing now and what he did on the New Orleans tape when I watched. Maybe slightly more efficient, but again, that's like a very minuscule margin. But I do think this is, so it probably is the best he's played in his career. With that being said, I just think it's like, I also think, and then a lot of people now in Carolina, this is an interesting thing, are like now kind of crucifying Teddy and loving Sam. Sam is Teddy just with Christian McCaffrey, right? Teddy would have been way more sought after had Christian played last year. Right. Like the amount of one-on-ones that Sam Darnold gets right now with the linebacker and Christian McCaffrey, I still feel like I could go execute that level of NFL offense, right? And I'm in horrendous Peloton and band shape, right? That's it. So to me, it's like, if I could still do it, I think a lot of people could. But I do think you're onto something. I think this is probably the best that Teddy's played, but it's very similar to that New Orleans run where it was 9 touchdowns and 2 picks, right? That's just high-level football, and I think he's playing that right now.
The Broncos have, obviously, a run game that can get there with both Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. Obviously, the talent at wide receiver, even though that Jerry Jeudy is out, and a defense that is starting to find its rhythm. A lot of storylines. We're looking forward to Week 3 against the New York Jets, and I know that's going to be a fun game because Tim has done a lot of research. He's watched all these quarterbacks. He's watched the rookies with Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and now he gets to watch Zach Wilson, Teddy Bridgewater, and we'll have him back on next week to break down the Broncos' offensive performance from Week 3 against the New York Jets. Tim, thank you so much for jumping on, my man.
I appreciate you guys.